I am Steve Peterson.
And I am Jack Hinkle.
Welcome to Chops Podcast, where we talk about the best teaching, the best ways to know your student, the best ways to know your content. Today, Jack, we're going to go to the country of, I almost said town. We're going to go to the country of Switzerland. You ever been to Switzerland?
I've never been to Switzerland, but I've had their chocolate.
Swiss Miss.
Swiss Miss. In the packet.
Miss.
No.
Swiss Miss. Okay.
Steve, it's at lunch today. Steve goes, Jack, I got it. And I said, what are we doing today, Steve? And he goes, I don't remember. Heinrich Pestalozzi. And I said, I had to do the Heimlich to get my CPR renewed over the weekend. So
You got that renewed?
Yeah, because my license expires, so I need to do the renew process. So I'm licensed, CPR, and choking.
You went to the high school this weekend to work on that?
Twice. Well, I had to go Saturday afternoon to get the license, and then I went back to do pops.
Jack was a all-star playing electric guitar for the Vocal Pops concert.
That was fun.
That was cool.
Good
He
time.
played Eye of the Tiger. It was cool.
Okay, so Heinrich Pestalozzi.
Pestalozzi. Okay. So it's not so important that we know his name, but I was thinking about this, looking ahead to marching band for next fall or for this summer and fall, that helping kids be aware of their development as students and helping us as adults to be aware of the development of our students, of the mind and the heart and the body. And being aware, that was Heinrich Pestalozzi's idea, was like with early childhood education. And I did a research paper on it sometime like in the middle of college. But it maybe the 1800s, late 1800s. So the thought is that to truly educate a child, and he was thinking through the early years, through the primary grades, was to give the students an education of the mind, the heart, and the body.
That sounds so wholesome.
I know it. It totally does.
Mind, heart, and body.
Right? So then I
Yeah.
started thinking about that. Well, what would and Jack says, well, Steve, what do you mean? Well, like help students in high school, teenagers, navigate through the highs and lows of marching band and help them navigate it through the heart, mind, and body.
I'm not cutting that. Okay.
Okay. So, for example, that was a successful feeling. Like that felt really good.
Yeah, sure.
How was that? Well, it was challenging for my body to do all that work.
Yeah.
And I felt full and I felt challenged intellectually about keeping everything straight. And then the emotions about learning how to rehearse and perform in control of your emotions. So the other thing I was thinking about with that was if students are stressed. You ever had a stressed student, Jeff? Never. But I think maybe thinking about this, the heart, mind, and body, is thinking about like...
Not cutting that either.
That was my phone.
Ironic, because Steve was totally getting on kids for being on their phones today during class. That's just how it goes, right? That is classic. Okay, stress students or stress podcasters.
So, well, what's causing the stress? Because sometimes students will be stressed because they're physically fatigued.
Yep.
And then I think we can help the students identify that. Or they're feeling physically challenged, like their back hurts from holding up their baritone or their bass drum, right? They're hot. They're cold. They're winded and they can't play because they're out of breath. Physical. So like help them be aware of their physical limitations or the physical expectations. Mind. It can be challenging to memorize your music, to memorize the step-offs and the marching maneuvers, the choreography, and then how it all comes together. So they get intellectually challenged on the field, sequencing all these events. But then also, they may feel stressed out, like emotionally. Why? Well, it could have been a bad day with relationships at the high school. It could have been they're having a little struggle with somebody in their section, or maybe there's cliques within a section, or maybe they're sad because a loved one is sick at home, or maybe they're sad because they just feel they're overwhelmed with how much responsibility they have, and they feel emotionally stressed. So maybe like helping students channel that or divide that and like understand what is causing the stress, and not everything is like a code 5, like 5-alarm fire.
That's a fascinating take.
Thank you.
I like it.
And so maybe we could, as a staff, or at least you and I, we could like think about that. But especially marching band, because it is a physical activity, that to help students understand how this all comes together. And I think maybe there's something there as far as like motivation and self-awareness and productivity.
I'm just thinking through, like, Brian Golden, our colleague, sees a lot of these students from 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade in high school. And he would always say that he sees some students that like really struggled just like participating in junior high band. And he, knowing how marching band goes and knowing these students, and, Brian's worked for years and years at the high school, he'll look at a kid and say, oh, they are going to really succeed in marching band,
right?
Even though they may be like being on the struggle bus during.
And why did he say that?
Typically, he sees these kids who are like, from what I've seen so far, like fidgety or have a hard time paying attention, and then you kind of give them like something to do, and that's honestly something that I think a lot of the kids appreciate in marching band, is that they get to move and they get to, put in the physical aspect into band and move their bodies and kind of get the heart rate up, and that works out really well for these kids.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of that, and then I'm thinking almost to the opposite side, that some kids really like to kind of disengage from the rest of the world, and that marching band becomes like a kind of haven for that, because they just get to think about one thing, and they have to think so hard to succeed that they get to kind of drown out the rest of the thoughts.
Kind of transports them to a different reality almost.
Yeah, so that kind of goes along into what you're saying, but I really like hearing about like the fact of like teaching what these feelings, whether they're physical or emotional, will feel like, how to identify and how to address them.
Right.
Because I remember my freshman year of marching band, and that was like a dumpster fire.
You said there were like kids that were 6 feet 8 tall that hadn't shaved yet, or they had full beards.
My section leader, dude, full beard, showing up to first day freshman band camp. I wanted to call my mom, take me home. But I remember like this is like so immature, but like I remember feeling this, and maybe it's probably developmentally appropriate for a 14-year-old, is that like I just remember wanting to scratch an itch so bad, but I couldn't because I was at attention. That was like the biggest problem for me. That's so lame. That's so lame. But that's like, I think part of what the teaching thing is that you're talking about is like, you're going to have an itch. You're going to want to scratch it.
So that would be an example of like education of the body.
Education of the body. Like, it's okay.
Self-control physically.
Right. Say hello to that thought and then just kind of hold it off to the side, because that will go away. And as you said, like, it's going to hurt when you hold your arms up with your instrument. Your feet are going to get tired.
Right.
And here's how to address it and how to take care of it, So Steve, you're in rehearsal and you're talking to the freshman boy. Could have been me back then, or it could be, this coming freshman, and they're saying they're tired and they're sore and they want to go home.
Right.
What do you do? Or what did you do before that to ease that? What would you do?
Well, I would say, when you meet freshman students a lot of times and they say, oh, I'm so tired after 30 minutes, right? Or after 2 hours, let alone after 4 days of 8-hour days, right? But maybe kind of run it back with them. Say, well, what's your summer been like? What have you been doing this summer? What do? I stay up till 3 a.m. Okay. Understandable. Okay. A lot of kids do that on the summer. What time do you get up? 12. Okay. Good. What do you eat? Takis and a Mountain Dew. Yes. Right. And then did you go outside? No. You have sweats on all day and air conditioning? Yeah. You on your phone most of the time? Did you go outside this week? No. Yeah. So understand that your body right now is going, man, this feels different, and there's going to be a learning curve. And so today you muscle through. It won't seem as bad tomorrow. And then Wednesday won't seem as bad as Tuesday. Thursday won't seem as bad as Wednesday. So help them identify that they're not like, a lot of students are going to come to us with being very inactive during the summer. That's not all of them, but we're not coming in like a Division I drum corps where they're world-class athletes in tip-top shape.
Would you say something, because you are a fan of saying that everything's a choice?
Yeah.
Would you walk it back with them in terms of like a choice? Like you could say, like you could push past this. It might hurt. I'm curious of how you'd address that.
Yes. I would say, well, I don't think you're in physical danger, and this is nothing immoral or illegal. I think you should stay with it. Kind of work past the pain.
And in the moment, just like acknowledge, and move past,
right, and realize it's not going to kill you. It's not going to like maim you.
What's in it for me if I'm the student?
It's probably going to be hard for you, Jack, to understand what's in it for you in July and August. This is something that's called a long payoff, and you may not understand what those fruits are until much later. But as somebody that has done this for decades and has been with students who have done this, and I've watched this progression, you have to invest into the physical time and the mental time, the intellectual time, and then as you start to accomplish things, then you reap the rewards out of this. But it is a time sensitive, it's a long haul. This is not like playing Fortnite. It's not a immediate high or immediate like fun, and it's gonna take a while to get to that point. But sophomores, juniors, and seniors, can you back me up on that? Sure, we could have students that I think that's where it comes in, the importance of leadership and mentorship to say, hey, yeah, I wanted to quit my first day too.
We would be master teachers if we could figure out how to scaffold delayed gratification.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I think there's a lot of moments of delayed gratification in marching band, right? Like in terms of the physical.
Right.
Because someday you're going to notice when you're holding your baritone up, your arms don't hurt. Like you notice that, right?
Yes.
You kind of notice that standing still gets easier. And it might seem like it's not worth the while, but I think standing still is a great skill. And as we go on through the season, like finding moments to share with those kids, like, hey, you couldn't do this in July, which I think we typically do a good job of.
I think we do a good job of that, saying there's no way you could have done this in July, and bring that up.
It's kind of fun, too, to like march the first like 5 charts, and the band looks horrible, and they try and play, and they sound horrible, but we kind of cheer for them from the tower. We're like, oh, my God, you did it.
Right.
And then you bring that back in October and be like, remember the first time we did this and we cheered you on and you sounded so bad?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we do. So moments like that. Okay, physical. I dig it.
Okay, so
Can we talk about emotional?
Yeah. Okay, I'll go to intellectual first.
Intellectual.
So we've talked before about rigor in our classrooms. We've talked about rigor on the podcast, but sticking with something that is difficult to do for your mind. And music does have the physicality of pushing down the hands and buttons and triggers and slides, doing all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is an intellectual challenge, trying to figure out the counting or the fingerings or the repetition, the memory, right? And I guess this is something that's completely different for them, for the younger students, because they sat down and they played a certain level of music. Now they're standing up and moving, and they're doing a more difficult kind of music, right? So they're going to feel intellectually challenged, and they're going to feel not smart. They're going to be asked to memorize the school song, like within the first week of school, the first week of band camp. And the upperclassmen are like, "Woo, I got this! I'm flying through it," because they've been playing it for 2 or 3 years. But it's the idea that this is tough. Mm-hmm. This is tough. In 8th grade and 7th grade and 6th grade, you sat down. Now we're going to challenge you to do things by memory.
And the thing that's going to be tough for some of these kids is that we're going to have incoming freshmen who have been the best at everything all the time.
Well, that's probably like you, right?
Yeah, I was the best at everything.
Come on.
No.
You were. Come on. You're like the shining star. Weren't you like the junior high band member of the year? Didn't you get that?
Of the decade, but... No,
Did you get that award?
No, I didn't get that award.
You didn't get that award? You didn't
No.
get the junior high? Either did I.
Look at
My
us.
brother did.
Dang. Well, did you get the John Philip Sousa award?
No, I got the Louis Armstrong award.
I didn't get that one.
Which one did you get?
I got the John Philip Sousa.
Yeah, and at Concord, we traditionally don't give it to the same person.
No, I'm just kidding. I just made air quotes. Okay. So we've seen this student, and there are many students like this that are just like really good at something, or really good at like everything. And the first time they try something new, they can figure it out within minutes. I don't think that person exists in the world of marching band. I don't think anyone comes in with like perfect glide step while they can play like 16th notes. No one does that. And we're going to watch these freshmen come in, and some who don't imagine they're going to struggle will struggle. And those kids take it so hard when they're bad at something because they just take it to heart.
Yeah.
Because they've never experienced being bad at something.
Right.
And then they think they're dumb, or they think that they're not cut out for it. And, I think that's an opportunity for the staff and for the upperclassmen to say, no. No one's good at this right away. It's okay. We got you.
Yep. That is tough to come into that and not be the all-star.
It is. And preparing the kids for, the mental challenge of that, the mental challenge of, wow, the 10 minutes of rehearsal just felt like 3 hours. There's some intellectual stuff outside of the notes and rhythms that we kind of need to prepare him for. And thinking about just all the moments like that, and also just the amount of information that comes in, and not even the musical information, but, when you do a rep on the field, okay, 16 counts, music in, plus 1 step off, go. And you got to do that.
Right.
Or if you don't, it's like a safety issue. You could hurt people.
Right.
And kind of scaffolding the system of how we run rehearsal, that can pay off with how they receive the intellectual thing, and with how they have their own intellectual endurance, their mental endurance. Right. I am intrigued, Steve, to build the mental endurance of the band.
Yes.
And maybe the staff.
The focus. I'm sorry, what did you say?
And maybe of the staff.
I know that was the joke. I just trolled you.
I just thought it's not because you're not listening, which would be common sometimes. Okay, back to you in the studio.
Werewolves of London. That's probably. Do you think that's the most important one? Or maybe Heinrich. We need to get Heinrich Pestalozzi. There's probably somebody that dresses up as Heinrich Pestalozzi that would come in and do something like this with us. I wonder if there's one. I should look. I'm sure I still have my paper.
You have the paper still from college?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
great,
gosh!
dude.
You typewrite it, or do you use a real computer? I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. I don't know, dude. I have people very close to me in my life that talk about how they had to
It's your parents, dude. I'm not your dad. I'm not your mom. But wait, how old are you? Okay, I could be your dad.
You're 26 years older than me. Because when I was 26,
and my son
you were
turns
double
and
my
my
age.
son turns 23 this week. So yeah, okay.
All I'm saying is I've heard the horror stories of typewriters.
No, I didn't use a typewriter. Okay, one paper I did, but the rest of
Okay, so come on. My gosh, you were just... I'm sick of this. Okay, tell the story. You wrote a paper with a real computer and a floppy disk. Good job, buddy. We're almost to the 21st century. Dude, I'm sorry. That was a little harsh. I appreciate your wisdom and your years.
I still have that paper because I was proud of it. But I wonder what Heinrich Pestalozzi would say, like if there was like a hierarchy, if there's one. Probably not. It's probably all together.
Like a trifecta.
Right.
Right?
Right.
A Venn diagram.
Right.
Oh, that'd be interesting if you made like the 3-way Venn diagram.
Ooh.
And like you thought like what your band would be with the physical and the mental side, but the emotional's gone. And then the other two.
That would be good.
Right? Okay, so if you had a physical and mental, like you had those two, but you were missing the emotional piece, your band would be really good, but you'd hate coming to rehearsal. Right?
And they'd be clean.
Would they? Would they be clean?
Physical and mental?
Mental, they'd be clean.
Yeah.
But there would just be mass chaos. The bus rides would get shut down because, like, kids are fighting.
Yes. And they
attendance would be
like
poor.
It. They didn't look forward to it. They couldn't wait to get out. They were
Right.
emotionally not invested. Ooh, that's a good one.
So if you had the physical and emotional side, your band would look good. They'd have a good time.
They would love it.
But they'd sound really bad. They would miss step-offs. They'd hurt each other.
And there would be no attention to detail.
And you'd be bad. Then if you had them emotional and mental but no physical,
you have a concert band.
Well,
not really.
You got some lumps on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think you could you would be good without one if there's a hierarchy. But, I'm thinking I'm thinking of people in our balcony, of our teaching balcony.
Yeah.
What would Tim Lautzenheiser say, if you were missing one or one was really good and the other ones weren't? I you have to teach. You got to teach the kid. You got to teach the kid music.
Yeah. Well, so it's another thing that's would be interesting is you can try to be better physically. Can you try to have better emotions?
I think Steve would say you always have a choice.
No.
I don't think you can control what you feel, but you can control what you act, or how you act, right?
So that's physical.
I think that's emotional. I mean, we're not asking kids to feel emotions. We're asking them to regulate.
Right. Regulate and be aware of them.
Yes.
And then choosing to maybe have a different outcome or
right.
release.
I mean, that's you're teaching self-awareness, right?
Right.
But the funny /
tragic.
Antagonizing thing about just teaching in general is that you've done it so many times, you don't need kids to be there to know what's going to happen. Like, I can tell you what the season looks like from September to October to November, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we show up in July and kids are like, oh, let's go. This is so fun. And they're like always at standby. They're always set and they're working and there's not much talking. And then September and August, kind of roll around, and then it gets hot and it gets tiring and school starts.
And
and the tensions start to build between the sections, and this color guard person broke up with this baritone player, and it's just oh boy, watch out.
Yep.
And we know that. So talking about the emotions, I am interested in this, Steve. I think we could change the world.
Change the world!
If we tell our kids to be aware of their emotions. Okay, so a lesson plan with Steve Peterson. What does that look like, talking about emotions in the band?
I think the first one is awareness. The lesson plan of emotions would be awareness.
Feel the tears streaming down your face. Be aware of the wind.
Feel the aloneness
of
sitting on the bus with no friends.
I thought you were going to say no air conditioning. That too.
I think be aware of that.
Because you could talk about that in band camp, right?
Hey, I think you could talk about the anxiety of not being able to do it. It's affecting your physical, intellectual, is affecting your emotional. You feel anxious. You feel self-conscious. Right?
Yes. You feel bad, you're just not good at things.
Sometimes if you're on the other side and you feel very accomplished, you may feel angry towards your fellow classmates, or you might feel impatient because they're not getting it, right? You may feel disappointed in other people. You may feel anxious about a competition or results. And you may feel intimidated or inspired or let down by your directors. Be aware of what you're feeling. And don't just cast that and just kind of lump everything together and just throw it away, but saying this is how you're feeling, and this is one part of you. So how you're feeling about this right now.
Do you think, this could be dangerous. Do you think kids get good models in their lives of emotional regulation and being aware of your emotions?
Some kids obviously do, because some of them are just exemplary.
Okay.
and maybe they've been blessed with a certain kind of DNA, and this is kind of how it's nurture and nature are there together, and they're like, bingo, like I can think of students just like in 4 years that just never cracked, you know?
Right.
And I'm sure they did maybe inside, but the way they processed it, they were able to come out smoothly on the other side and always be gracious and never let you know when they're having a bad day, which I do not think is a bad thing. I think that's a life skill that you kind of still present yourself to a certain audience.
Sure.
Right. But then when, then the other side of things are students, if one little thing goes wrong, it can be a tearful situation, or it could be the sky is falling. Maybe we should start reading children's books like Chicken Little, The Sky is Falling. You know that book?
I do know that book. Well, it makes me think, okay, the swag thing.
Yeah.
Did you, I don't know if you were, like, they had this tradition when you were in it, but we did bedtime stories.
Mm-mm.
And it was over, we had walkie-talkies, right?
Okay.
So it would be over the walkie-talkies. Our group leader would read a bedtime story to the swag staff, like all 60 of us. We tune into the radios from all of our dorms, and we come together, and it's like
nice.
bedtime stories. It was cool. I've thought about doing that with kids at some point, but there are fun little like moments with that and like lessons that you could put in. That's good. Like not children's stories. Yeah,
children's stories.
The sky is falling. Is that a metaphor? I've never thought about this. Is that a metaphor for things going wrong when it's not that big of a deal?
Right.
I've never thought about that book until just now.
Oh,
it's changed my perspective.
Wow.
Okay, that's the lesson plan. Children's stories.
Children's stories, mind, heart, and body. Help students to be more rigorous and more focused at getting through tough material. Helping students be aware of their emotions so they can self-regulate, and maybe giving some exercises where they can talk about the high expectations or low expectations or in the middle, and then also being aware of how their body feels and maybe how that influences their emotion.
And, the beautiful and sometimes scary thing about marching band is that the communities feed off of each other, for better or for worse. And I'm thinking of like, when the first hot rehearsal day comes around, everyone gets outside and they go, "It's hot." And like, we know that one's coming too. And like, these people like directors and, seniors combat it in different ways and go, "Man, it's freezing out here." Like they do that thing or whatever. But you get like a bunch of like freshmen together and they find like, what's the phrase, company in misery loves company.
Yes.
Right. And they get into that and they go, "Oh, it's hot. Yeah, I'm so hot. Oh, I'm so tired." And then suddenly you're like creating this like toxic, like whining fest about how hot it is. Newsflash, we signed up for marching band in August. Like it's going to happen. And can't we change that outlook? And maybe it's I think instantly gratifying to commiserate with people, but we'd have delayed gratification if you just kind of kept it to yourself and worked through. And then at the end of the day, you're like, I didn't hate that because I was not really thinking about how hot it was.
And isn't there some power like in not acknowledging that out loud?
I think so. I wish we could get through the rehearsal with that. I'd be fascinated.
We can.
No, Steve, that's impossible.
No, Steve, that's stupid.
That's stupid.
Just like the hoodie you're wearing right now.
It's a zip up.
It's a zip. I've had this on all day, dude.
Cold?
No, I'm going to run away at any point and just want to be prepared.
Nice.
So
I think there's something there. I want to, we could teach the kids how to be people through marching band.
How to teach kids to be people.
I mean, we got it, dude.
No, it is because, I think the best groups, I'm not saying that we're the best group. I'm saying like people that are at the top of their game. That's not us or not me. But people at the top, they teach their students how to human. Like the best teams, the best ensembles teach their students and their members how to human. And then you use the activity, band, orchestra, choir, football, basketball as your activity.
Vehicle.
Your vehicle to use to grow that human.
Yep.
It's not just get it right and just get through it. It's like how you go through the process. That's what's important.
Yep.
Then the other stuff will take care of itself.
Yeah. Maybe this is the year.
Maybe this is the year. But we got to start thinking about this. Right?
We are. We're talking
we
about
are,
it right
dude.
now. We think about it every day.
I do think about it every day.
I think about it every day.
I think about it as like sometimes I think it's too difficult. Some things I think it's too easy, or it's like, come on, we got to make this.
You think Marching Band's too easy?
No, but I think the process can be easy, easier. I don't know.
I think the process can be simple.
Simple, not easy. I've been told that this tune is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Simple. There's a difference.
Right.
That'd be a good episode. Simple but not easy. Simple or easy. That's real. And I'm thinking of our kids, and I think they'd be into this.
Yep.
Because this, the seniors, well, the incoming seniors, current juniors, they know this, and they're already thinking like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with the, physical, mental, emotional stress from my neighbors. And like maybe now it's like we have something to go off of. And sometimes it's like tempting to ignore as the director or as the kid, to ignore those feelings. Yes. And or say that you shouldn't have them, or you should just move past it or figure it out or whatever. But you're right, we need to teach those skills, because these kids, these incoming freshmen most of them have not done anything so demanding.
Right.
And especially coming off of a summer of sleeping in till noon, eating Takis for breakfast, playing Fortnite every night.
That's true. So if you're listening to this or you're watching a reel, I'm sure Jack will serve us up mightily on the reels. But if there's something that you have a question about or comment or contradiction, or maybe you had an experience in your team that your teacher or director or coach talked about these concepts, mind, heart, body, or, how did you come to be excellent in an activity where it was rigorous?
Mm-hmm.
How did you fly?
Hit us up.
Let's go.
We'll take messages. We'll take DMs on Instagram.
Yeah, we need another Reading Rainbow shout out.
Oh, we did get.
We got some more.
Yeah. Okay, that reel that blew up yesterday. Someone was like, "We get teachers off of TikTok." They're like, "You guys have clearly been out of school for way too long." They're like, "Oh, it was like yeah." Okay, because this is the reel that kids about student bedtimes, and the kids stay up all night. And someone commented like, "Well, if you guys are just brainwashing them with math all day, of course they're going to want to have some fun and stay up all night. Geez, God, cut off. Leave them some slack." Brainwashing them with math. Dude, if I could brainwash, let me tell you, it wouldn't be with math.
That is so delicious. Thank you. Yes.
There were a few little zingers in there, and I was like, swipe.
Brainwash with math. Dude, oh my gosh. Okay, that's
2 + 2 = 4.
Get it. Do it.
Focus,
Synthesize.
focus.
It's like, get it. Get it. Feel the force. Gosh. Yep, that's what it's all about. You got us. Gigs up.
Busted.
Got him. Okay, Jack's got to go. This is crazy week. This is cray week.
This is cray week.
This
it's
is
the beginning of the avalanche. I'm at like the top of the hill, and someone just made
there's
the
like,
boom.
There's some little snowball going boop, 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 boop. And tomorrow at this time, it's going to be 12 feet of snow on Jack's head.
And then Thursday and Friday, I'll just be underneath somewhere. I'm hoping to
I might bypass Saturday. I might just sleep from Friday till Sunday.
I might
just play
not
Fortnite.
have a choice, dude.
I might just play Fortnite all night. You want to play Fortnite Friday night after Jazz Cafe?
Jazz Cafe Fortnite. That'd be fun.
Where we landed, boys?
Dude, I think I've played Fortnite once in my life, and I was horrible. That was not my jam.
Yeah, I played with the boys, my sons, during COVID, and it was quite fun. It's quite tragic, but
Go follow us on TikTok and go
Do it.
Go tell that dude that said we brainwashed him with math. Just tell him that he's right, and he'll figure it out someday.
And follow us on
Instagram and YouTube, and make sure you're following us on Spotify and on Apple Podcast. I don't care if you only listen on one platform. Just boost our numbers.
Yep.
We need that inflation.
We need that math.
We need that math so we can brainwash people with it.
Force.
You will subscribe. Okay, it's time to go.
Okay. So for Steve Peterson,
And Jack Hinkle.
we're out of here.
See ya.
Bye.